All right, good morning, everyone. So just some quick housekeeping. I saw people taking pictures of the slides. I passed around the evaluation form. You can ignore that for now. And anyone that wants the slides with the form, just put down your email and I'll send them to you afterwards. With that being said, let me get into the presentation. Today we're going to discuss a few things. Techniques for building your personal brand, strategies to set yourself apart in the market, providing actionable tips to build relationships and networking. I talked to a few people here that are interested in networking, so I'm excited to share that content, and how to leverage LinkedIn effectively, because if you are not on LinkedIn, how are you going to win? Let me ask any of you, have you ever felt stressed? I'm talking robbing Peter to pay Paul stressed. How am I going to pay my bills stressed? I need a job tomorrow stressed. Me too. A few weeks ago, really a month ago, I was hosting a resume review session for job seekers in Philadelphia. It was a Zoom call, and this resume review session quickly turned into like a witch fest. I felt like Dr. Phil in the call, y'all. And I'll never forget Mary. I met her that day, and she came off mute, and she said, Dre, I've got 2 kids. I'm unemployed right now. I don't know how I'm going to make it through the month. And immediately, it got real quiet. You could hear a pin drop in the call from the heaviness of her statement. And at that moment, I knew Mary needed some words of encouragement. And so I turned to Mary, and I said, I need you to understand that your brand is in demand. I want you all to say it with me as well. I need you to understand that your brand is in demand. Yes, absolutely. And when I say your brand, that encompasses your originality, uniqueness, and relatability. That's what all makes us unique. We all possess something special. Now, elements that make up your brand, authentic identity, that's the real AI. Thought leadership, images, your things that you post online, and your purposeful presence. How people are discussing you when you're not in the room, and how do you show up online as well as offline. Crafting a winning resume and cover letter, because I know we've got some job seekers here or contractors. Love to get into this content. Highlights. So winning resume and cover letter should encompass the following. Number 1, you should highlight your skills and accomplishments. I feel like as people, when we go into, whether it's a job interview or anytime we're talking about an opportunity, we are extremely modest about the things that we have accomplished. So champion the highlights. If you were a volunteer of the year or employee of the year, put that on your resume. And when I get hired to speak, this is one of the things people miss. Oftentimes, people will have like their generic resume that they ship out, when in actuality, what you need to be doing is not only have your general resume, but you need to have a tailored resume that matches the job description of the job that you're applying for. A lot of people miss that, and that is why they miss opportunities. And keep it concise and to the point. Cover letter, I'll be honest with you, I'm a proponent of the cover letter. Some people are like 50-50, but a resume shouldn't really be any more than 3 pages max, ideally 1 to 2, but with the cover letter, I feel like it's a strong, you do yourself disjustice by trying to capture your life story on 1 to 3 pages. I champion the cover letter because you actually get to write more so like an intimate letter saying why you qualify for the role or opportunity and what they can expect from you in that cover letter. So that's why I always recommend candidates do it versus not doing it. And if you don't know the individual's name, to whom it may concern always works. And you want to align your skills with the company or decision maker's needs. So when thinking about your resume, it's not about your experience. So this is why here, it's not about me. I don't want you to think about your experience. It's about you. Going back to that originality and uniqueness. What do you bring to the table? That's a heavy statement to think about. It's not about the bullet points. It's about you. Because at the end of the day, when you get to that interview point, you're selling yourself and the value that you can contribute to that organization, whether you're a contractor or a full-time corporate employee. Set SMART goals and a 30-day job action plan. So SMART, here I'll go straight into the example and then I'll break down SMART. So here in this example, I talk about a young high school individual that may live in Michigan. little employment experience. So they said, okay, I'm going to target the fast food sector because I have relatively no experience working. I'm trying to, branch myself out there. They'll apply to hourly jobs within a 3 to 10 mile radius of their home, and they're going to call one employer a day for the next 30 days after submitting an application online or in person. And then they'll track all this via an Excel spreadsheet. Now, this is why I like this example, because one, you're being very specific about the role that you're targeting. So think if you're in project management, or let's say if you're into electrical, mechanical engineering, or you're doing coding, you're being very specific about the companies or industry that you want to target. Measurable. Tracking, following up with one employer opportunity a day for 30 days, that's realistic. It gets more complicated when you're doing like 5, 10, 20 in one day and you're not tracking that information. Achievable, again, going back to one a day. Relevant, does this align with your career or opportunity aspirations? So you want to be very clear there. Relevant, I cover relevant and time bound, 30 days. That's realistic and you can keep yourself on track. And so going from the previous slide, that 30-day action plan, in that first week, we're going to do some research, right? We may not reach out to anybody, but we'll do our research. We'll do a self-assessment of like where we are, where we're looking to head. Upon doing that, now we're going to draft our resume and cover letter, right? Because now we've formulated our plan, and then building and expanding our network. Even coming here today, you've built and expanded your network by having conversations and placing yourself in the room from people that are now outside the norm that you interact with. Cold calling, emailing, interacting on social media would happen in the third week. Again, going back to building your network, and applying for jobs and follow-ups. So I put here this acronym YF. You always follow up no matter what. And depending upon the time you submit that application, from the time you get an interview, if you haven't heard anything back, maybe it's 1 day, which could then turn to 7 days, and that turns into 30 days. But you always follow up just to get that feedback to let you know where you are in the process. And LinkedIn actually speeds this up and makes this a lot easier because sometimes whoever's posting an opportunity, you could connect directly with that person. And everybody on LinkedIn loves connecting. Using social networking to find opportunities. You can build a strong platform. So LinkedIn right now, #1 social platform as far as like professional relationships, over 1 billion people on the platform. Sharing industry-related content tied to your personal brand. So I'll use Nick for an example. Having someone who has went through the Apple Developer Academy, sharing his story, how did that resonate with his brand and his career, and just sharing content related to the industry. That's how you build your brand. And then you can even blog on LinkedIn. Like you can even create your own articles, going back to that thought leadership that we talked about. Because now you're standing out from the competition. You can even attach your own blog or personal website to LinkedIn. And when someone clicks your profile, it goes straight to maybe projects that you have done, or if they want to get in contact with you, maybe you're not listing your phone number and email directly on LinkedIn, but by going to your website and attaching that link, now you've extended an opportunity for people to outreach to you. Engaging with potential employers and recruiters online. As a TA professional, I love seeing activity on individuals' LinkedIn profiles because most people that work in corporate that are a part of recruiting or HR, they're using LinkedIn extensions. Some are Sales Navigator, but LinkedIn Recruiter specifically, it will show you who's been active on a profile for 30 days. I have more examples that align with this, but going back to this slide, following companies of interest, again, this could align with your 30-day plan. Who do you want to work for and why? So those are some things to think about. How to use LinkedIn to build your personal brand. A well-defined profile section, not generated by ChatGPT. Now, I would utilize ChatGPT to ideate, but a well-defined profile section talking about who you are, skills or jobs that you've done in the past. So I love using this graphic designer example. I don't know if we have any graphic designers in the room, but so let's say for an example, for skills that you've used in the past, a graphic designer, they're typically utilizing Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. They can list that as a skill on their profile. So like if I was to do a Boolean search, if you're familiar with sourcing, I could run a Boolean search utilizing this LinkedIn extension or on Google itself and type in Adobe Illustrator. And if you have that anywhere in your profile, and if I'm searching the Metro Detroit area, I could find that individual. Maybe you have philanthropic opportunities that you've served on or affiliated with, so think of Rotary Club, American Red Cross. And I talked about in the last slide, right, having activity on your profile and not just engaging on your own post and creating content, but responding to other people's comments as well, right? Because it's like now that gives me further validity and outreach. It's like, okay, they're not just posting their own content. I see they replied to this person a week ago. Even if, let's say if it was a birthday, bar mitzvah, or somebody tied their shoe for the first time. I seen you say, congratulations. I'm like, okay, I want to talk to that person. All right, now this is how you make your brand stand out on LinkedIn. Your profile showcases thought leadership. Now we talked about curated content with articles, replies, maybe you've been featured in publications. So let's say if I could see Nick, 10 people that spoke today about accessibility, maybe they featured you on Fox 2 News and you highlight that on your social media profile. Testimonials. Now, when Nick said he loves a video testimonial, I too fancy the video testimonial, but the written testimonials as well are where the gold is. Anytime somebody can go to your profile, that's just further validity that you are who you say you are. So for example, if you worked at a company in the past and you solved a critical problem, or maybe you worked cross-functionally with someone on a team and they enjoyed that experience so much that they wrote you a recommendation of what it's like to work with you, that gives an employer, an opportunity seeker, a really good snapshot into who you are, and that sets you apart from the competition. Keywords from the job description in your profile. If we go back to the graphic designer, Photoshop, Illustrator, just having that in your profile, again, is going to have someone want to reach out to you. And the accomplishments. We have to start celebrating the wins. Life is too short to not talk about the value that you created for others. And pictures, having pictures on your profile. I'm sometimes astonished how sometimes even in 2025, I'll run across a profile that doesn't have a picture, just like the clear question mark. It's like playing a game of who. Hot take, resumes get scanned, but brands get followed. As a TA professional, I'll tell you, it only takes me sometimes maybe 5 to 30 seconds to really gauge if someone's a fit for a job or not. So don't be the resume that gets skimmed or tossed to the maybe or side pile. Be the brand that gets followed. And your LinkedIn profile helps you do that. Having a personal blog helps you do that. And just being a thought leader in general. Now, Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, I love self-help books. In this book, he talks about how most great leaders start out as followers. And who do we follow? We follow people that we want to emulate or who resonate with us to some degree. So everybody that wants to be a great leader that starts out as a follower, and LinkedIn is a great place to do that as well. So a quick story on branding. This is a picture of me and my family. I drive my children, my daughter and son, to school every day. And they don't usually look this happy. In the morning, it's like going to the morgue. And so we listen to the radio. So one day I'm driving, and the Kendrick Lamar song is on. It's like, they not like us, they not like us. And then the first commercial comes on, and all I hear is, you should be driving the Kia from Summit Place Kia. And I have no desire to go to Summit Place Kia, but it's stuck in my head. And then the other commercial comes on, which is save money at Menards. And I have no desire to go to Menards. But what those commercials make me think about is you have to be memorable. Because even if I don't have the desire to go to these places, they stick in my head. So your profile should do the same thing. Securing the interview. You will secure a job interview if you research each company thoroughly before applying, do your homework. This is the big take home. Use keywords from the job description in your resume. Do not spray and pray. Do not take that general resume that you have that was not filtered out and blast it to 50 companies. With recruiting and when you're looking for opportunities, it's definitely a numbers game, and you want to be personable, right? Like you want to take the time. If I saw that you saw my job description and you matched up how your experience aligned with that job, and you sent me a cover letter and potentially addressed me by name, you've went the distance and you separated yourself from your competition. And this is just without the LinkedIn profile, right? Like because you are competing, you're going after opportunities, but you can't see the people that you're competing against. So this is why this is so important. And practice and prepare for interviews in advance. You can utilize AI for this. YouTube is great. Family and friends are great. Work on those filler words, right, or so, or maybe those difficult questions that may be a bit more technical that you can encounter. And then following up after submitting applications and interviews. I'll give you some more secret sauce. You want to know the secret, what people do, how they get called back? They send a thank you note. And that's the differentiator right there, because not everybody is sending the thank you note. Just saying, thank you for taking the time to interview me. I really enjoyed our conversation. I look forward to hearing back. Game changer, huge game changer, because now I remember the person that said thank you versus the 5 to 10, 15 people that didn't. And also, this is important. We're at the Pride Summit, right? Let the real you shine through, especially during the interview. We're living in the age of authenticity, so you have to walk in who you are as a person. And the hidden job market. Now, this is actually interesting. I pulled these statistics, but when you think about it, 70% of job openings are hidden. And this is why I'm encouraging you very heavily to go heavy on your LinkedIn profile. Because I'm the person, or through my background and profession, outside of being a speaker, I'm constantly like poaching people that already have jobs for other opportunities, right? So I'm either, whether it's a bulk message or email string, I'm looking at their profile, do they have these keywords? And then I'm knocking on the door, tapping on the shoulder and saying, hey, would you be interested in this? And these are people that are already working. So these might not even be jobs that are posted, but just, and sometimes when your profile is like that good or up above a notch, people will create opportunities just for you because they want you. They see the value that you can bring. And so I thought that was interesting. So Indeed is a platform that I would also highlight. I didn't talk about it too much, but what I like about Indeed is that you can actually put your resume on Indeed to be searchable, and the algorithm will actually match you with opportunities. So that's something to know. A lot of people discount Indeed depending on, because it's, I'd say, consists primarily of hourly or blue-collar talent. And ZipRecruiter also functions similar to Indeed, but I love Indeed. I've gotten great opportunities on there, and I think it's definitely something you should consider if you're in the market. Now, that evaluation form that we talked about earlier is I'd say is important now. If you could do me a favor, I'm very, as you can see, potentially passionate about this message. I want to share this with others. So if you could take a few minutes and go through the form. And I'd also open at this time any questions. I know I covered a lot of content. I'm just about at the end where I'm about to close, but if you have any questions related to job search or anything, your job search or opportunity hunting that you'd like to ask me, now would be a great time. Tim.
What's the biggest thing people screw up on? What's the most obvious thing that they miss? Is it just their LinkedIn profile like that, or is it something else?
It's the most obvious thing people miss usually is it's not tailoring their resume to the job description. Okay. That's like the big miss. And I think that's the biggest misconception, is that people oftentimes, they're like, okay, they see a job, they see the bullet points, they're like, okay, I'm a fit. They're like in that kind of like FOMO excitement mode. They submit the application, and then potentially they get the auto rejection. And you're like, oh man, like I applied for that job, the company didn't get back to me, yada, yada, yada. But you didn't like thoroughly do your work. You just like really like copy paste versus taking the time to like really get intimate into the nitty gritty details. And that's why it's just so important to do that. And so I'd say like that's the biggest. I'd say the second thing potentially is just like interviews, right? I think a lot of times, especially with younger professionals, I see this with experienced professionals as well. You'll have someone that's like really strong on paper, but then maybe you didn't come across as well thoroughly like during that interview for those real like tougher, more difficult questions. And that's the differentiator as well, because depending upon the role, right, depending upon the salary that you're asking for, whether it's, let's say, 6 figures, they're looking for, you want to command a high salary, you got to be able to communicate well, you got to be able to enunciate well, and like you can have the experience, but if you can't communicate effectively, I believe that plays a big component of it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are you going to be speaking at the digital summit at Black
I hope so.
No, this will be, like, perfect.
Submit your stuff on the website.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I know
appreciate.
it's open now for speakers. So.
I appreciate that. I really do, and I really just hope that the content resonates with you all, and that my goal here today, anytime I go anywhere, is just I believe knowledge should be shared, and I want to encourage like everyone to be better. So my mission, my purpose is to like share the knowledge that I have with others so that they can better themselves. All right. Okay, hey, Nick, you got a question.
The first one I had was like, what's your thoughts on, I guess, like fake job postings on the rise now, and like they're mainly used to like user data.
Okay.
My friends fell victim to that. Yeah, they end up like he filled it out and things, and like they didn't fall through right, but it's like collecting data.
My thoughts on it is that we're in the information era. Listen, I was just following the news the other day, and I seen the AT&T data breach and how sentiments will be coming out about that. And obviously, I don't agree with it. I understand like why it's occurring. And then I think that just kind of goes back to my previous example as like a job seeker or opportunity seeker. How am I being, diligent about the companies that I'm targeting, right? Like, is Google doing fake job posts? More than likely not. GM, more than likely not. Those legacy brands. But anytime you go on Indeed, and that's why you have to do your research. So I'll even use myself. Some years ago during COVID, everybody was on unemployment, out of work, right? So I'm at home, my little stimulus ran out, and so my fiance, she's like, okay, you should put yourself back in the market. And at that point, I was like 50-50. I had done the whole corporate thing. I'm like, but I did anyway. And I ran across this company on there called EpTech, and I'm like, okay. And they had like a desirable pay range. I'm like, do I really want to, utilize this company? And I did it. Like I took the risk. And then lo and behold, they had a relationship with General Motors. I do the interview and I ended up at GM. So it's like really a 50-50 crapshoot. You never know. Indeed, they're doing some things to like mitigate the data, people doing the fake job postings. I guess that would be my response to that.
I would say get the premium. The premium really helps safeguard a lot.
Are you saying LinkedIn Premium?
Yeah.
And that's something people have to pay for. If you have corporate, you can get it for free if you're attached to a company. But yes, I think corporate is anywhere from 70 to like 130 a month.
$100.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So you can get LinkedIn Premium for 100, and even if let's say you're making a new connection, because this happened to me recently, it'll say this person's trying to connect with you offline. Like, are you sure this message is safe? So, but to his point, I see that more on sites like Indeed or a ZipRecruiter. That's typically where that's happening, because you can be a contractor and go on there and say I'm from ABC Joe Blow Company and post a job, but you really don't have a job. I want your information so I can sell it. All right, so I know we ran a little behind. I wanted to answer your question.
Okay. One, one great presentation. And two, one of you had any research tips for people who are looking for project-based work or part-time work and build their LLC?
Okay, you said research.
Do you have any tips on how to find companies or organizations that would be interested in hiring people for project-based work or part-time work?
Yes.
And build directly to their LLC rather than retail.
Yes. So one tip that I would do that I'm coming to utilize myself is partnering with potentially like associations that house the talent that you're looking to work with, and then making connections with those key decision makers. I talked about artificial intelligence a little bit earlier, but utilizing, I use the paid version of ChatGPT. I've used Copilot, I use Gemini. I've toyed around with DeepSeek a little bit, but I would ideate and say, okay, based upon what you know about me, if you're using a paid version or not, what companies historically in the past have hired outside vendors or contractors, and utilize that to ideate and really like form your strategy and be very specific. Then I would, once you have like your base of who you're gonna target, I would then take that to LinkedIn, going back to those associations or trade groups, see who the key decision makers are, whether there's, or email contacts, if it's an info box or contact us. And then I'd be reaching out to those individuals, being transparent, maybe, hey, let's go out for a cup of coffee for 30 minutes, let's have a virtual chat and build the relationship that way to get in the door. Awesome. All right, so let me finish up. So here's the scenario. You're back on the job market. Let's say whether it's Doge, you're casually looking, your boss is not your best friend, the lightest way to say that, but that's how it feels, right? And right now, the job market is tough. The opportunity market is tough right now, okay? But then, let's say you beat the odds, right? We're Detroiters, Michiganders, we're from all over. We know how to persevere. You got hustle, they call it grit now, but you get to that interview and they say, why should I hire you? This is what I want you to say. I'll say, I don't really think you should hire me. I think you should follow me. And this is why. You should follow me because if you follow me, you'll see my thought leadership, how I show up for myself, and how I show up in my personal life, and how I show up for other individuals through testimonials or recommendations. That is the value that I can add to your organization. And that just makes you even more powerful. It's like, wow, like there's that take home, that takeaway. Not everybody is saying that, and not everyone is emulating that confidence. But when you talk in that fashion, you know what you're bringing to the table. And so today we talked about what? Your brand, your personal brand is in demand, people. Never forget that. We talked about authenticity and thought leadership, how to set yourself apart. And then those take-home tips for networking. If you hear, I love in-person events. Like, I'm an extrovert. I know if you're an introvert, that could be a little difficult, right? But if you're sitting next to someone that you normally don't see or talk to, put yourself out there and build that organic relationship. Hey, I like your shirt. Or, hey, your shoes look nice. And just like really get to know that person and take that conversation to the next level. We also discussed LinkedIn and how to leverage that appropriately. And I want to do a callback to the story I told you earlier about Mary. We talked about her personal brand being in demand. She then stopped showing up as unemployed, but as an expert with the story. She has since gotten interviews and offers. And if Mary can do it, you can too. And that's my time, everyone. Yeah, did anyone else have any questions? But after this concludes, I'll come around and collect the forms and pens. But again, if anyone wrote their email down, I'm happy to send the slides or connect after for further conversation.